This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
It is 6:01. I will now call to order the December 2nd meeting of the Easthampton Conservation Commission. This meeting is being recorded. This meeting of the Easthampton Conservation Commission will be conducted in person and simultaneously via remote participation online to the greatest extent possible. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so despite best efforts, we will post on the City of Easthampton website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Should an interruption occur in which the online meeting ends abruptly, both the in-person and online meetings will not be restarted, and all agenda items will be automatically continued to the next scheduled meeting. Are there any public concerns, non-agenda items? Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to public hearings. The first item was a public hearing for an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation filed by GZA Geoenvironmental on behalf of Crown Meadow Corporation at Holly Circle and Crestview Drive, map 166, lots 75 through 80, 83 through 89, and map 171, lots 14-1, 14-2, 15 through 22, and 25 through 29. This is Mass DEP file number 1510327.
Okay, so the applicant's not in attendance today. I had already sent them the RFP for peer review, and they took a look and said that it looked good by them, but obviously the commission can change it. So this is the peer review that I drafted, the RFP for peer review.
So you guys heard proposals by January 2nd. We'll review on the 13th. Okay.
So I do think the notable piece here is that I don't set in this draft an end date or the date for the public meeting we expect them to attend. And Commissioner Busa and I discussed this, and we thought that different consulting firms may have different perspectives on when their review of the delineation could be conducted in accordance with vegetation.
Yeah, and it's also going to be weather dependent.
Right.
We don't know what's going to happen. So I think that makes sense unless anybody has concerns.
Sounds good.
So we'll review a timeline once we've selected a consultant. I think that looks good. Any questions or comments from the commission?
It's good.
I think we're good to go ahead then.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I will send it to at least 3 firms, but likely more than that on the MACC consultant list, as well as I've begun to assemble a list. I've had a couple consultant firms reach out to me and ask to be on the list. Great. So
Yeah, good.
yeah.
Do you ever hear from firms saying, take me off the list? This is just not what we do.
I've heard from firms around the commission's consultant, like the monitoring services for Tasty Top, saying that this is too far of a project for us. So I can imagine, because I will say the MACC list is primarily, there's a lot of Eastern Mass firms on there.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So I've taken that into consideration that they may not be good candidates, but I will say with Tasty Top, there was a lot of firms were sort of like, this is too far and it's too long. So I could imagine that a firm may, a single day in the field out here may be a different story.
Yep. Sounds good.
I don't have any other updates on the ANRAD.
All right. So then we'll be looking for.
Oh, actually, I do have a public comment to read. Sorry. Here, let me check that. This is the public comment I have received on November 27th. I'll just read it into the record. Easthampton Conservation Board, thank you for the opportunity to voice my thoughts regarding the impact of this proposed development at your November 18th meeting. When I received notice as an abutter to the property, I had already had some concerns about future use of the land. For the last few years that we have been residents of Easthampton, it has been leased to a Southampton farmer to grow primarily feed corn. It's also a corridor of wildlife. We have witnessed bear, deer, bobcat, coyote, hawks, and owls moving through traditional wetlands north of Holly Circle towards the Park Street solar installation. Although private land, individuals and families routinely hike, snowshoe, and cross-country ski the acres. Looking at the city map of Easthampton, it is clear that the opportunities to acquire additional land for open space are dwindling. This parcel is bookended by the White Brook and Gustina conservation areas, making it prime consideration for acquisition to be set aside for the enrichment of the public. It is important to note that the owners have not gone ahead with the development in the 30+ years since the plan was approved. Looking at it now, it seems out of touch by extending an already sprawling residential area between Holly Circle and Kingsbury neighborhoods. I can't help but think that just maybe by not acting in his lifetime, Bernard Gall was reluctant to develop it. Perhaps it's time to consider it as an open space. Naming it the Bernie P. Gall Conservation Area might just be the catalyst to move thoughts in that direction. Respectfully, Dan Kratzer.
All right. Just for the record, there is no proposed development before this board at this time. We are only looking at an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, which, as we mentioned at the last meeting, just approves the wetland boundaries. There's no project proposed before us.
Right.
All right. So if there's nothing else on that project tonight, we will be looking for a continuance. And given the timeline we've outlined.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, please.
Hey, I'm Jeff Cougar. I live at 12 Laurel Drive, Easthampton. I have one request. Would it be unreasonable to ask that the selected consultant or that the Conservation Commission notify the owners of the property when the evaluation of the wetlands will be done?
The owners of the lots that are within
the owners of the property where the wetlands are. The trust.
I don't think there's any reason why.
I think we certainly could include that in the RFP. Pascomic did grant, I can pull it up. Pascomic granted access to GZA and to the owner.
That's correct.
In the process of this ANRAD, and I think that access was an access.
I don't think they need to renew. I wouldn't think they would need to renew that permission, but it might be nice to be able to actually be there when the evaluation is being done. Possibly someone might want to.
If the landowner wants to be there when their land is being looked at, I see no issue with that.
Okay.
Okay.
And then the second issue is I'm concerned because there has been some recent mowing in the wetland area that evaluation in the winter or very, very early spring before vegetation has recovered may make it dependent on just soil evaluation, not looking at vegetation. I have some concerns about that.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons that we didn't put a timeline on the RFP is that different wetland scientists have different perspectives on their ability to assess that sort of site in the off season, so to speak, the non-growing season. So we'll be looking at that when we review proposals to see what folks are proposing to do.
My concern is that the soils themselves may not be adequate to really fully understand the scope of the wetland.
Often in that kind of situation where you have a field that's been mowed, the soils are going to be your best indicator and sometimes your only reliable indicator. But that's something we'll be looking at when we review the proposals.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so with that, we'll be looking for a continuance, and given the timeline we've set for the peer review, if you're not expecting anything in the next meeting. I wonder if we should skip it, go ahead and continue it to January.
I
Is there
think
any
that
reason not to
makes
do that?
Yeah, I just thought that
January 13th.
January 13th. I thought that December 16th was too tight of a timeline for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Okay.
Motion to continue January 13th at 6 p.m.
Do we have a second?
Second,
All those in favor? Ryan?
Aye.
August? Aye. Weeks?
aye.
Carr?
Aye.
Motion carries. So we'll revisit this item on January 13th, and at that point, we will have the peer review proposals to review. All right, our next item is a public hearing for a notice of intent filed by the Berkshire Design Group on behalf of the Community Builders, Inc. for a new housing development at 385 Main Street, map 154, lot 32-1. This is Mass DEP file number 1510330. I believe we are still waiting for the additional information. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Have they asked for a continuance to any particular date?
They have sent another, it'll be in your hand this week email, but this is maybe my 6th or 7th emails
Okay.
of this kind. So that's hence the key, continuing to push
Okay.
it by only one meeting.
All right. So we'll be looking for a continuance to December 16th.
Motion to continue to December 16th at 6 p.m.
Do we have a second?
Second,
All those in favor? Ryan?
Aye.
August? Weeks?
aye.
Carr?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, moving on then to requests for certificate of compliance. Easthampton Park Solar 1 LLC at 232 Park Street. This is Mass DEP file 151293.
They've requested a continuance to the next meeting.
All right, so we'll need a motion to continue to December 16th.
Move that we continue the Easthampton Park Solar request to what's the date? December 16th at 6 p.m.
Do we have a second? Second. All those in favor? Ryan?
Aye.
August? Weeks?
Aye.
Carr?
Aye.
Motion carries. Continue to December 16th. All right. Enforcement actions. Do we have any updates, Ava?
Yes. Okay, so the updates I have on B, and Commissioner Busa, this is primarily to update you, because the rest of the commission discussed some of this last meeting.
Great.
Commissioner Ryan, Commissioner Weeks, and I conducted a site visit. The current thinking is that the 1996 map that shows the intermittent stream running through that finger that cuts down to the property, based on the property pins that we saw in the field, is actually inaccurate, and that the stream is to the left of that finger, actually on the property of 472.
Okay.
Which leaves the commission in an interesting position. We discussed this last week, but I just wanted to get the commission went back and forth on whether or not further action should be taken. So I have a call with the Fiora de Lises tomorrow to discuss. So which essentially means that the mowing is no longer on their property. The residents of 472 are only mowing their property.
And remind me, who cut down the trees?
476 cut down the trees.
Okay.
And the trees are just to the side. They're shading the intermittent stream, but they are indeed on they are on the finger, the 476 finger.
Okay.
So that's the open enforcement order we have out against the residents of 476. I have a call with them tomorrow. My plan is to discuss developing a new tree planting plan with them, but to just let them know that we're no longer holding them accountable for the mowing of the intermittent stream that's not on their property. They thought it was their property, but we saw the pin in the field. It's pretty clearly not their property.
Okay.
And to hope that they have a planting plan for the early spring, and then we can, I'm hoping we can kind of work with them, because I think there was some confusion about good possible species.
Okay.
Does the commission have, if I work on developing this with them, there were 6 mature red maples that were cut down. Does the commission have like a target number for number of trees that?
So I can never remember what's in our tree, what do we call it? The tree thing that we created.
The tree cutting approval?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 1-to-1 for trees or 2 shrubs to 1 tree removed.
There's a certain size though, right?
There is
For
a
the
certain
1-to-1.
size. Yeah,
It
let
must be
me
a
pull
certain
it up.
caliber, because the
That's
ones that were
the one.
planted before were very small, as I recall.
I think only one survived. I think we only saw one survivor. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Let me pull up that.
So I guess my initial suggestion would be that we should match the spirit of what's in the tree cutting approval.
Okay.
And so if to do the 6 at the size that are required is inordinately expensive for them, perhaps we would entertain a larger number of smaller caliper trees would be my thought. But I do know that there's a caliper in there.
Yeah, let me pull it up.
I think it's a relatively decent sized tree you
Right.
have to put in 2 or 2.5 inch maybe.
Mhm. Mm. Apologize. Okay. Mm. Oh, that's not the one. Mm.
Policy.
Yeah, here it is. Okay, all right, so for any tree, so this is the tree cutting policy, which, had they come to us under this policy, it would have been a little complicated because
Right.
it's 5 trees
Right.
that's under this, and they were taking 6 trees now. But regardless, the,
Diameter size of 1 inch or greater, and they have to survive 2 days. So that I would take that as a starting point.
okay,
And if we need to discuss further, we can, but if they're able to comply with that, then I would say 6 at that size. Could be,
Hopefully, 1 inch hopefully is not too bad.
yeah, this shouldn't be overly expensive.
okay. And is the commission comfortable with them planting in their, fully in their property, like in the vegetated, the herbaceous sort of strip that's currently within there? Essentially, how close to the stumps?
Well, they may not have good access in those stumps. Those stumps are just cut off and the root systems can still be there. So they may not have a ability to dig very close to them. So
I would want to still be shading the stream once they're
Mature. Okay, great. Awesome. Okay, so that's for the question of 476. For the residents of 472, just to update you, what the commission was thinking last meeting was that we would issue them a letter, essentially another cease and desist letter, saying that, the commission does not allow the unpermitted mowing of an intermittent stream. This is why it's jurisdictional. And, the commission's not going to pursue this further at this time, but that it reserves the right to in the future, or that DEP reserves the right to in the future.
What was the thinking on not pursuing further?
we didn't know what the hell to do with it. Really, I mean, if they stop throwing the clippings in there and they stop mowing and just leave it alone, then I think that's what our goal should be.
And their major concern that they expressed with that idea was ticks.
But I don't know if that's really, you know, they had a lot of different ideas about a lot of different things. So
Yep.
about the stream location and the DPW moving it and DPW removing soil and it was a little confusing, the whole event. So if they stop throwing the clippings over their fence into it and stop mowing it, maybe that's where we should stand for a while and see how things work out, see what it looks like in 2 years.
But weren't they refusing to stop mowing?
I would say we have not received verbal affirmation that they would stop mowing.
I think they wanted to mow within their fence zone. At least they wanted to maintain their current property. So within their fence, they want to mow their backyard, which they should have the right to do.
Yeah,
It's,
that seems
it's
reasonable.
grandfathered in. It's been that way forever. And,
And the resource area is outside the fence, correct?
The resource area is
I
outside the
believe so,
fence.
yeah.
Okay, so they're mowing in the buffer zone,
Right.
maintaining the extent of lawn that already
of
existed.
Right.
existing law that's been there for.
That
I mean,
seems
they're-
totally reasonable.
They're mowing within the jurisdictional area though too. They're mowing within, currently they've been mowing within the banks of the intermittent stream.
Which we would like them to stop doing
Right.
that and stop dumping the clippings and just stay within their fence yard
Mhm.
and dump the clippings over the fence behind their yard on their own property and not into the jurisdictional stream.
Right.
If they want to do that, then I think we could just say, oh, good.
So
Okay,
they
yeah.
still have to remove the clippings that are
The commission's decision.
We're not moving fast enough.
Existing clipping.
They'll break down pretty quickly,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think they're trying to use some of the clippings from compost anyways for plantings. That's one of the reasons for why they were doing it was that they were going to use the clipping for compost. So I think we just let it, see if we can get them to agree to that and see how it goes for a little while.
So we request an affirmative to the letter.
That seems reasonable.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, all right.
I think I would not explicitly say that we're not pursuing it any further,
Okay,
because if they refuse, then we'll have to probably pursue it further.
right.
That seems like a reasonable plan.
Okay. Okay. So that's the update I have on 472 or 476. On Hartnett Manhan Memorial Forest. The update for you is that I have for you is that Commissioner Busa and I are planning, we have a meeting on the calendar to meet with Beth Gula and Ray Lyons, Neff's attorney on December 17th.
So that's a good thing.
Yes.
Yep.
So thank you to Mark Stinson for helping out in this process.
And that's at 4, right?
That's at 4. Yeah.
Great.
And hopefully we'll have a fuller update for the commission for the first meeting of the new year. And I received word from residents that Neff has been responsive to them too.
Great.
Good.
Excellent. Okay. Good. All right. Any open space updates? One on Echo Hill, right?
Yeah, a week ago Monday, I did 4 hours and today I did 4 hours. So I'm kind of reaching the limit of, there's some water coming out of certain areas. So I want to stay out of that. And I'm trying to stay away from the native plants, but it's pretty cleaned up.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
if you have a
Again,
chance
Thank
to
you,
walk out there
Commissioner.
and again, if you want to look at it again and say, okay, next year we want to just clear cut everything but the trees, then we could do that. But I've been trying to, if there's native things, I've been trying not to run those over. But at least I try to clear around all the trees so he has access to doing invasives.
Great.
And that was the only thing that we needed to do to allow them to proceed with the invasive treatment in the spring, correct?
Yep. And Chris Bolton says he wants to do some pro bono cut stem work before the new year.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Sounds good.
I did walk around back there last week in the woods behind the orchard, and there's pretty intense invasive species, especially bittersweet back there too, at some point in the future.
Right, which I will remind the commission is also part of the commission's parcel. So the
Right.
commission,
Right.
we're currently doing treatments on, I think it's about 5 acres, the upper front part.
Correct.
or maybe even a little less. But then the parcel is like 30.
Oh, yeah, because there's
35.
pine trees. I didn't even get into the pine trees because it's not,
Right.
it's not
Yeah.
worth trying to make a bigger mess out of it or shoot, seeds everywhere that
Right.
don't need to be where they are.
Yeah. And I think my vague recollection from several years ago when we started this process was that treating that section of woods because it's contiguous with other woods probably wouldn't accomplish much, whereas we could maintain the meadow over time. And that's where the
Mhm.
trail was proposed. So that was where our focus was for the time
Right.
being.
That makes sense. Great. Okay. And then just on Borchowski, there's a mountain bike group that has a presentation that they're making, and they're planning on presenting at the January 13th, 2025 meeting. So
Is that, I know originally a couple of folks were going to come tonight, but I assume that you conversed with them and
they wanted more time.
push it off. Okay,
Exactly.
great.
Yep.
Sounds good. All right. Compliance updates.
Compliance updates. The first one I have for you is actually K, 99 Mount Tom Ave. Is that K on yours as well? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Great. So I spoke with Tom Lotzenheiser, who alerted me to the fact that he had continued to do invasive plant monitoring of the Cherry Street outfall. And did a little bit of digging to figure out what exactly was going on there, because it appears as though in the August 2023 inspection report of the invasive conditions by SWCA, here, let me just project this. They recommended that the invasive treatment was complete. So invasive management is part of the long-term monitoring requirements, but so this was their final report. So that was their final report. This is the area. They did the work. Originally, Cassie had asked Tom to do the invasive plant monitoring of the outfall because that's Pascomic Conservation Trust property where the outfall is. So I think what occurred is that no one told Tom Lotzenheiser to stop doing annual invasive monitoring, which I think should have concluded at the end of this series. That's my understanding of the way that the order was written.
I really don't remember.
Yeah, don't have it.
But regardless, the invasive plant monitoring continued. And Tom gave me a report that said there are still some invasives in the outfall area. I went out and took a look. This is what it looks like. Obviously, it's a little hard to tell because of the time of year. But I definitely saw some small Norway maples and some burning bush. So there definitely are some small invasives still present at the Cherry Street outfall. And like within the original limit of work, which this is one of the examples where there's invasive pressure in this conservation area. So all around there's considerable amounts of burning bush. Like now we're outside of the limit of work here. You can see just kind of a mat of it. The city does not have a contract anymore to continue doing this invasive removal. Like that contract with SWCA ended when they issued this report. So this is new territory for me.
Okay.
How the commission proceeds with this.
So full disclosure, I was recused from this project because this is a Fussin O'Neill project.
Okay,
But my recollection is that PCT was going to be a partner for some longer term monitoring and maintenance.
Okay, so that would make sense for why Tom
Mhm.
continued. That makes
Right.
sense.
Because the city's funding for this project had a hard deadline, and so that the funding is gone, that's why the contract is gone. So I think the conversation here would be about how to maintain in the future in partnership with PCT.
Okay.
And if it makes sense to do it, given the pressure surrounding
Okay.
from the adjacent forests that
Okay.
are not necessarily being managed
Managed.
for invasives.
So the commission, obviously, like with Echodale, has taken on invasive plant treatment as part of the commission's role with an open space parcel that the commission manages. This isn't quite an open space parcel that the commission manages, but it was a city project. Like there's some overlap here. Should I suggest that this would be something that, you know, myself and as the agent would be collaborating on with PCT? Or just see what they would like to have, maybe just set up a preliminary meeting to see what they would like to have happen at this. This is the Brickyard Book.
Yeah, I
Conservation
think that
area.
makes sense. And I mean, it makes a lot of sense that you should be point of contact, but I don't think you should be offering to necessarily get into the weeds and do the work.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you've got plenty of other stuff that you need to do.
Right, and
Yeah,
I'm not a
so-
licensed pesticide applicator,
Right.
like also, which is, you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
for some of the larger.
Right. And I think there's also the question of, have they met their permit conditions versus what's the best way to care for the land in perpetuity?
Right.
So they may have met their permit
right, they may have met the
conditions.
permit conditions
Yeah.
and now, bases are still gonna just kind of invent
Right.
themselves and take
In which
over.
case, it's just a conversation with PCT about, what do they think makes sense going forward?
Right. Okay. Yeah, and this is still an open project, right? Which is why it's on our list, but, and I guess but they've complied with the section of their order that is like carry out the invasive management plan as proposed.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit complicated because typically when a commission, like typically that the plan is carried out and then, that's that.
Mhm. Yeah.
But we have continued monitoring. Okay.
It would also probably make sense to check in with Diane about the city's plans for closing that project out.
Yeah. That project expires this spring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No more on K. The next one I have is L, 50 Florence. And I did head out to the site today to take a look at their plantings. They had completed the plantings, as well as to take a look at the final array.
These were the plantings along the.
Yeah, along the
whatever edge
privacy
that was.
screen,
Yep.
yeah, which the commission had previously discussed is sort of a funny, it's not really an eco, I mean, it's those, they're cedars.
Yeah.
They'll be used, but it's primarily was a planning board component, but it
Yep.
is part of their plan, so it was continued to be approved. So this is the final array. I spoke with Pete Warren on the phone today and suggested that, well, I'll be curious to hear what the commission wants, but I think my recommendation is that it was still looking a little bare and that it's worth it to leave the erosion controls up until spring. They have not completed their invasive plant work within the limit of work yet either, or it doesn't appear as though they have, and I haven't received any descriptions or confirmations that they had, which allows me to think that they're not going to be able to close this project out anyway.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is walking out, this is out to the privacy screen. This is a wet spot they have in the back. We've looked at that before. So this is like behind the privacy screen, and here are their plantings. And
Are those consistent with the size that were called for?
they are,
Okay.
yeah. This one's looking sad, like the rest are. Okay. And they have the correct number there as well.
Great.
So I don't think any further action needs to be taken on this. I just suggested to them that they leave them up. Pete Warren did ask if the commission would be willing to let them move their SWIP reports to either monthly, or he preferred to have them pause until spring.
What's your recommendation, having seen the site?
I think potentially either could be fine. It's pretty stable. It's just not quite all the way there. It's just the final array, and it's really also only the first 6 rows of solar panels, which is where they did the regrading work this year. The whole back section of it is fully stable, but they're going to pull all those erosion controls at the same time.
Okay.
So they don't want to, they're not requesting to like pull half of them and leave half of them.
Okay. I'm trying to remember when we pause regular reports, but still require them for large storm events, right? Isn't that our typical practice?
For clone range.
Yeah. I believe that's what we've done historically.
So
So
stay standard with that.
I would be okay with that. So we'd still want
Okay.
to see if there was a large event, but they could pause the weekly.
So pause weekly, but leave large storm.
Okay. Does that feel good to everybody?
That makes sense, and the only question I would offer is since we're coming into winter and we'll get accumulation of small events which lead to a lot of snow and then a big runoff event, how does that factor into the calculus of monitoring in what would otherwise be a large storm event?
I don't know the answer to
I
that
don't
off the
think, I
top
don't
of my
think
head.
it does.
Yeah.
I should, but I don't.
Sorry, maybe I shouldn't have raised that.
No, it's a very appropriate question. It may be that they translate. It may be that they translate the snowfall to liquid and just keep with the 0.25, but
My understanding
Yeah,
is
okay.
it's
I'm
a
not
10-to-1 conversion of snow to liquid in general. Obviously, that depends too.
right. Yeah.
But if you get a lot of snow,
We got 2 feet of snow and
And
3
then-
70-degree days.
Yeah.
boom.
Right.
Right.
So I'm almost certain there's a protocol, but I should know what it is and I don't off the top of my head. Okay. What is going on in here tonight?
We're just not moving. We're just not around. We're just
We
not
need more public.
activity.
Okay, so looking for best practices with like melting conditions and erosion.
Not even
controls.
best practices. There is a
Protocol.
rule.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would, it's probably spelled out in the NIPD's.
Yeah.
Website. For the construction general permit. That's fine.
Okay, I'll look into that and like get back to you.
Okay.
In the meantime, should we pause the weekly, leave large storm events? Okay.
Good with
Does
that.
the commission typically put an end date on that, like for springtime, or?
I think given that there's no more work proposed, I'd be comfortable just leaving it at that.
Okay.
And then that could continue until they close the permit unless there's something else that they need to do actively on site.
I think the only active work will be invasive
Okay.
monitoring.
Yeah.
Or invasive treatment.
And I don't think that will have significant ground disturbance, but
Yeah.
if it does, then we'll have to revisit.
Okay, great. Excellent. Okay. The next one I have an update on is Tasty Top. We received a contract from Weston and Sampson, notified the other firms. They all asked for feedback, and it was really helpful that I could just share with them the pie charts of the different scores they got. And I got a lot of positive reception from that.
Great.
And the mayor has requested that I pass on to the commission that she really greatly appreciates all of your service to protect the city's natural resources and your diligence on this project. Okay. So we're waiting, the only thing we're waiting on for this project is the funds to be held in escrow, and then there'll be a pre-construction site visit to confirm everything's in place. I have received word from several people that people were on the site today and that there was action occurring, that Sage Engineering was present. So we have an open order of conditions, so I may stop by this week just to let them see what they're up to. I imagine they're installing the pre-construction site conditions, which hopefully is a good sign that they will soon be sending the escrow funds.
Okay, sounds good.
Coming down to P, Easthampton Housing Authority for Allen Street, we have a pre-construction site visit, the applicant for December 9th at 11 a.m. This will be my first full pre-construction site visit. So I think if a commissioner has the availability, I think it would be helpful.
I'll do my best.
Okay.
I can't promise just yet, so let me, update you, but I'll give it my best
I think
shot.
I'm okay.
Okay, great.
Right now, it's open.
Excellent. I really appreciate that, Commissioner Ryan. Cool. Thank you. Okay. Coming down to S, 109 Everett Street. Mike Kent, the contractor, seeded the piles with winter rye on November 19th. And we will know if it takes. I went
Then
up.
it got cold.
I know.
Right.
There was definitely a
how it
moment, right? There was definitely a moment where the commission really thought, I feel like when at the last meeting, the commission was really hopeful. It had been really warm.
Mhm.
Yeah, right. That's why I was,
Yeah. And then it got cold. So we will see. They did install silt fencing all around the piles. Sure that went out. Was definitely seeded, but I did not see any sprouting.
It may have just been weed stuff sprouting, but
Yeah.
there is some vegetation starting. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was what I
think
saw
that's
when I drove by.
just weeds.
Yeah, okay.
I drive by there with fair regularity. I'll keep an eye on it as best
Okay.
I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've alerted them that the commission is still looking for weekly reports until we have any sense of if any of this sprouts.
Mhm.
Could be worth it to think about what our backup plan is if we don't have any sprout.
I think the backup plan was either mulch or tarps, right? Weren't those the things we kind of offered them?
Right, or an erosion control blanket over
Yeah.
the top.
Yeah.
Yep. Erosion control blanket's probably their most expensive option, I would imagine.
Right.
there are concerns about whether the tarps would even stay, but just with the winds and things like that. So
Yeah,
it's such a
they
big,
have to weight them
it's such big piles.
Yeah.
So when I heard this, I thought that was great, but then,
Mhm.
it's 25 degrees out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
let's-
keep an eye on it.
Okay, all right, sounds good. I think it's really the wind blown piece of
Yeah.
it is the top concern.
Exactly.
Doesn't seem like there's any way that sediment's gonna leave this site
Yeah, unless it's blown.
unless it's blown off. Yep, right. Okay. Coming down to general business. I have the October 28th minutes are on the table. They were not voted on last meeting. I will have the 11:18 minutes for you next meeting.
Okay. Have folks had a chance to review the 10/28 meeting?
Yes, 28th, yes.
And
Motion to approve?
second,
All those in favor? Ryan?
Aye.
August? Weeks?
I,
Carr?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. And the ordinance is coming along
Same update. Closer and closer.
closer and closer.
Still a little bit of work to do before it's ready for everybody to take a look at.
The next general business item I have is the representative to the Bees Committee. Commissioner Weeks, would you like to remain in this role?
yeah, I've been filling that role and I'm happy to continue to do it.
Excellent. Your term
Since
is,
we're shorthanded and other people have big jobs and, so I'll continue.
okay, great. I think you
And
know.
I notified the lady who asked me if I wanted to continue on the Conservation Commission, whether I would continue, and I said yes.
Okay, excellent. Great.
I'm sorry, I've forgotten her
No,
name
that's,
already.
Probably Lindsay.
or the clerk, was it Barbara?
Barbara or Lindsay.
I think the emails come from Lindsay.
Oh, okay,
Lindsay,
great.
yeah, I think you're right.
Okay, excellent.
So anyways, that's good.
Great. Does the commission have to vote to reappoint commissioner?
No, it's not our,
It's not yours.
not our purview. It comes through city council.
Okay, even for a is Bees a subcommittee?
No, not for, sorry, we're conflating things. Bees is not a subcommittee
No,
of
it's
our
a-
commission.
No,
It's
it's
something all
its
its own.
own independent committee.
We have no
Okay.
Yeah,
authority
and
over
it
it.
draws representatives
From other committees.
from
Yep.
the rail trail, us, the ag commission, and then some other mayoral appointments that are independent.
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't think, we didn't vote to put you on, did we? I don't think we need to vote for this.
I don't think we did.
I heartily support your continued participation.
That sounds good. Our next meeting is next Monday, if anybody wants to attend.
Excellent. Thank you, Commissioner Weeks. Okay, excellent. All right. 126 Lovefield Street. So I received a complaint from a resident about material placed close to an intermittent stream. So I went out to the site. Let's take a look.
It's 126 Lovefield.
Yeah.
No. When did that happen?
Pascalina, the arts and culture coordinator, is revamping
Okay.
the basement of City Hall. Is there a particular map the commission would like in here?
It's nice just having a city
Something.
map so that when we go, hey, where is that
Where's
street?
that?
We
Yeah.
can point at it.
Absolutely.
I'm looking
Yeah.
at my phone because I'm like, okay, but I know where the street is, but what's the
Yeah.
number?
When
Yeah.
did they disappear? Did it happen a long time ago? And this is just the first
no,
time?
They
no,
were
it's
here
relatively
last meeting,
recently.
Okay.
you were
Yeah.
absent, and they were
Okay.
on the wall, so.
Okay, so just to orient the commission, we've been talking about 65 Lovefield Street,
Mhm.
which I will say I've been undergoing review of. There's a proposal or a potential buyer is looking at putting another industrial building here, where my mouse is.
I thought that was residential.
It's zoned industrial, so the
Oh.
property that Greg Haas just built is it's pre-existing non-conforming
Okay.
residential in zoned industrial.
Because we're, sorry, can you zoom out a second? Where
Yeah.
are we?
We are on O'Neill Street.
Yep.
Here's O'Neill coming up towards Route 10 is up here.
And where's the junction with the bike path? It's like right down where you
It's,
just were.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
It's
All
right
I know
across here, yeah.
Thank you. Bike path.
Cuts right across the.
Yeah, that's the bike path bridge, right? Over the Manhan.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
All right, that makes sense. Yeah, I was thinking that house was somewhere further up.
Right. So if that proceeds any further,
Okay.
that will certainly be on the commission's desk, given its location and wetland proximity.
Yeah, is that even in the floodway? The flood zone.
Yeah, this is flood zone right here.
The blue one.
The blue one is 100-year
Yeah,
and the black one is 500-year.
okay.
And then this green is, aerial estimates of BW.
Yep.
Okay, but we are not here. We are up here on 126. So this is 126 Lovefield Street.
Okay.
And yeah, we received a complaint. So this is the intermittent stream in question. Okay. So it's pretty hard to tell. This was from, I want to say it was from November 14th. So it was prior to us receiving any of the rain. So a little bit hard to tell that it's wetland, but it certainly appeared wet underneath all these leaves down here. This is the intermittent stream in question. That's how I would classify it. It may have some BVW elements to it. It's not mapped BVW or delineated on any maps I could find, though the resident who contacted me did send me images of it in different seasons, which the commission could also take a look at. So the material in question is up here on the hill, which I did not get close enough to do any kind of measurement, as this was not
Mhm.
property I had access to. But this gives you a sense of it. So
So is this like stored equipment or materials or both?
I would say from my perspective, it looks like we have tires here, we have some vehicles,
Junk metal and things.
junk metal,
Okay.
washing machines, things of that nature.
Okay.
Different angles. So that gives you a sense of the site. I will just say these are some of the images that the resident in question sent me of the intermittent stream in different seasons. And she sent me some images that the material had been moving. So I was out there on the 14th. But I think I received this information because that the material had moved relatively recently. It had previously been in other locations on the property and had moved closer to the intermittent stream.
Okay.
So I did draft a letter to the residents of 126 Lovefield Street.
When, when you're saying it moved, you're adding to, what area that's getting closer?
It appears as though the way it was described to me is that the material was elsewhere on the property and had been moved across. So the residents of 126 Lovefield have a crossing. They have a bridge over this intermittent stream. And so they had moved to the other side of the intermittent stream and was closer. It had previously been closer to Lovefield Street.
And I'm sorry, my curiosity is piqued because you're using the term residents. Do we know if Kelly and Eric LaPrade are the owners of 126?
Oh, yeah,
or are they
that's a good point. They're the owners.
Yeah, okay.
That I pulled their names from
Right, okay.
Easthampton GIS, so I don't actually know if they're the residents of the property.
Okay.
They're the owners of the property.
So Eva, just to clarify, it sounds like this complaint was not saying that any of the debris was making its way into the intermittent stream, just that it was near it.
Precisely, right. Which is partially why, this has been a slower moving process because I went out and conducted a site visit and very clearly saw that none of the material was actually in the intermittent stream or the swale or in the BBW.
It just seems a little like that's a lot of junk to just move for.
Right.
Most people who have piles of junk like that don't move them. I'm just so curious about where it was before and I mean, I guess it doesn't matter why they moved it.
On some other maps at, at different times, it looks like it was closer, to the street.
To 120, to Lovefield.
To Lovefield, yes.
So this is towards,
This is towards the back, yeah.
But it looks like there was stuff back there anyways. I can't tell you what it is from this
Right.
version of this map. So what am I,
Are you on historic aerials?
yes,
Ryan?
yes. But this is 2023. It wasn't as, it doesn't look as thick in 2023 as it is in that photo right there, but
Hmm.
it looks like they have some debris to work with.
It looks like it's significantly elevated from the resource area. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say that the resource area, by my assessment, is a good several feet below.
Okay.
It's a real, like, kind of wide swale.
Yeah, I think the letter's appropriate at this point.
Is this the tone the commission would like to take? I have not had any contact with 126.
I wonder if it would be helpful to specifically remark on the types of debris, because it says fill and alter, and they might not think of junk piling as filling or altering.
Okay.
Yeah, you could say the fill and alteration of 100-foot buffer zone to possible resource areas with, um, piles of metal and other.
Yeah.
Your debris looks like it's roughly outside the 100-foot before.
I like that it says we want to work in collaboration with you.
Right, because my recommendation to the commission would be that the restoration or the remediation in hand here would be just to have
Move the
have them
things,
move
yeah.
it. And there are plenty of other locations on that property where this material could be.
And that's where it looks like it was for a long
Right.
period of time,
Yeah.
so.
I think that's appropriate.
The vehicles that are on there, we don't know if they have gas or oil leaks.
No, yeah, we don't know any of that. In a letter like this, would the commission traditionally include an image of it?
I
I don't
so.
think we have.
I don't
Okay.
think we typically have, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then did you ask them to reach out to you?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep. The Conservation Commission would like this opportunity to address the matter in collaboration with you. Please contact me at your earliest convenience. Great. Okay, good. Great. Okay. Okay, 0 Glendale Street. So the commission discussed this last meeting briefly. There was a negative DOA issued at the Conservation Commission meeting in August when there was no agent, around the DPW cleaning catch basins on a piece of agricultural property, and the negative DOA was under the agricultural exemption.
You mean RDA, right?
The DOA that the commission issued was negative under the agricultural exemption.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Lawrence property.
And so that DOA will exist for 3 years, right? Will expire in 3 years' time. And at the time in August, the letter that Greg Nettleman wrote to the commission stated that they wanted to do this as a one-time courtesy.
Yep.
It appears as though the DPW would now like to continue doing this in perpetuity, out of an old agreement, it appears, to maintain. So the question that Greg Nettleman is wondering is if the bundled NOI for DPW, which typically allows them to clean catch basins without prior approval from the commission, is is able to be utilized here without an easement. There's no formal legal access for the DPW under this property.
It's not city property.
It's not city property.
It's private property, so it's,
But if it,
Is the bundled order, does the bundled order specifically refer to work on city property? Because I'm not sure that it does.
I don't think it does.
I think it's just work by the
Okay,
DPW
all right, well,
on
that's-
city-owned stuff, in
Right.
which case,
that'll be good.
yes, that'd be fine.
Okay, great. I just wanted to confirm because the commission had issued the DPOA under a different exception.
And we got the sense that the DPW created this problem years ago, and that's why they're feeling like
Yeah.
they're trying to help deal with it, because they created it.
Yeah,
Precisely.
we can pull up the bundled order, but
Yep.
I feel like, I mean, we already determined that it was a negative determination.
Right.
We've already looked at it once. If they want to keep doing it, I feel like
I don't have any concern.
plugging it
with
into the bundled order would make a lot of sense.
Okay. Hmm. So we have Cassie's chart here. Hmm. Hmm. But this doesn't actually discuss.
Whether it's city property or,
Yeah, so can you pull up the order itself? Because it would certainly fall under. Are these in the buffer zone or are they in a resource area proper? It's a great question. Because that might be the glitch. Hmm. Hmm.
Sure. You pull that. Hmm.
Yeah, because on here, the map and lot listed on our agenda is just citywide.
Right. Sure. This was their. This was the original letter we made. Netherlands. Here. What was the RDA?
What was our determination? Which type?
Yeah, it was. Hmm. 1004B7, which is the agricultural exemption.
Described is subject to jurisdiction. What area did we think we were in?
What's the property?
the whole area they're working is a hayfield that's been happening for years. They're near the river trying to correct.
Yes, was it riverfront?
But
Probably.
it has to be in riverfront, but still
Yeah.
it's exempt by the
Right.
farming exemption.
I'm just thinking, the bundled order, I think, allows for the catch basin cleaning in buffer zone.
Zone, right?
And I would say that extends to riverfront. But if they were in the resource area proper, we might need to push it to a different category that requires different notifications.
Right. It's the map.
I think though, these are just in riverfront. W. They wouldn't have catch basins in BBW, that doesn't make any sense.
So I think this is the
I
property.
don't know what it looks like, what they're doing.
Yeah.
Mass mapper too. I'm not sure this property has an address.
That's on here as zero
Zero
Glendale.
Glendale, right. Hmm. A lot going on here, but so this property is there's that circle in question. And I think the catch basins are in here. Let me look at their map again from Greg. Yeah, okay. It looks like the catch basins are pretty close.
The
I think they're
back
right.
of the property.
Yeah, I think they're like right here. Looks
Yeah,
like on
probably
the
in
map.
500.
Yeah,
You wouldn't want them in a 100 or they'd just be collecting floodwater.
right. It looks like BBWs
Yeah.
as mapped on Mass Map. Okay, I'm not sure. There probably has not been a formal delineation
Yep.
done in here.
Okay. So go back to the bundled order options, please.
Yep.
So buffer zone. Is going to be some blah 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 best management practices. So I would say it falls under 3. And then can you open the order itself?
Yeah.
Just to make sure that it doesn't specifically exclude non-city property.
I don't remember that coming up, but
Would it go to the top? Does it have property listed or did it just say?
Various.
Yeah, I think they're fine.
Okay. Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you for confirming on that. Okay. Then, Janice, I think we did already speak, unfortunately, to that issue, but I'll update you with what the commission said after. And that brings us to meeting dates. I did have a printout of the calendar in front of you, the commissioners.
we kind of went through it, but we were pretty toasty after 3 hours last week. So,
Can imagine. Anybody else want one?
yeah, I'll take one, then push it in.
I've got one back.
You want that, yeah. So the one point of concern was that there's a meeting the first meeting in May is only a week after the last meeting in April. But the concern was that if we didn't do that, then there would be 3 weeks between meetings on either end. So the thinking was that we have that first week of May meeting and cancel it if it appears superfluous. There's not much on that.
And what is the 21st of April? Why are we not on the 21st of April? Is that a holiday?
I think that's
I think
Patriots
that's
Day.
Patriots Day.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I always forget it exists.
Our Massachusetts special holiday.
And the 26th is probably Memorial Day of May.
Yep,
Yes.
This doesn't
Yeah,
get us
that's
anywhere.
correct.
Right.
We talked about that.
so we could have done the 12th and the 19th, but then we'd have,
We
Back to
could put it
back,
there.
yeah.
right,
What about, there's a bunch of June Mondays. Does it make sense to, I guess if we do the 12th, we could do the 19th of May. So that'd be a 3-week block, and then do the 2nd and 16th instead of the 9th and 23rd, but I guess that throws off several meetings.
And there was some thought that there's maybe more activity happening
Yeah,
in June than there would be on, April and May window.
so the thinking was schedule it for May 5th, but cancel that one if it's looking unnecessary.
that was the
It
thinking.
kind of came up that way.
Yeah.
but
Yep, because there'll be 2 weeks between March 24th and April 7th,
Mm.
but then 3 until April 28th.
Cinco de Mayo, we can always go out too.
And then only 1. I really appreciate the commission meeting on Mondays, but the Monday holidays can be challenging.
Right. There was concern that if we move it to other dates or other days, that it's gonna mess up the whole
Certainly.
world.
So is the 28th the one that's actually out of, when are we supposed to meet? 2nd and 4th or 1st and 3rd?
Second and fourth.
Second and fourth should be the pattern.
Oh, the stars are the ones that are out of, sorry, I'm
Yeah.
catching up. Okay. Yeah, I think that seems reasonable. 5th, 19th, and then we skip. So then from the 19th, it is 3 weeks to the June one,
Yeah,
right?
that's true. 19th is the 3rd, right? The 3rd one.
And then it's 3 weeks again to July 14th. There's a bunch of 3-weekers here. Maybe we'd be better off changing the 2nd and 4th. But is there somebody else the 1st and 3rd? Do we start to overlap if we switch?
That's a good question.
Like there is now.
That
Think of what
uses,
board it is.
that uses this conference room.
Maybe.
We haven't yet run into any challenges with it.
Okay.
So are you suggesting, Commissioner Russo, switching, so from the May 19th, switching to the 1st and 3rd Mondays? Though if we go, oh no, that's fine.
I would be looking at doing May 12th, which would be the normal date. And then June would be the goofy one, because we do June 2nd, 16.
So if the commission did May 12th, that would not be meeting May 5th.
Right. And then if we wanted to, we could do June 2nd
June
and
2nd.
16, which would be the first and third weeks. And we could hold June 30 as a potential date for an extra meeting if we're busy, but otherwise skip to the 14th.
So go April 28th and May 12th. So that's 3 weeks. No,
No, that's a normal,
That's
that
a
would be a
normal.
normal 2 week. And then it'd be 3 weeks to June 2nd because of the Memorial Day holiday.
Yep.
2nd and 16th would be normal spacing, and then it'd be 3 weeks to skip to July 14th, which would be the normal date. But we could have June 30th as a potential. Or, I mean, we could also just have June 30th. It would be an extra meeting, but we'd keep the 2 weeks every other week. Or we could just hold it in our schedules
You
as
just hold it
possible.
if we're busy,
if we're
because
busy, yeah.
that's kind of a busy time of year
Yeah.
sometimes.
right.
So for clarity, are we eliminating consideration of May 19th? Is that the upshot?
I think that is the upshot.
Okay, so
So I think I'm updating this in real time. You all will have to throw away your schedules. I
That's fine.
apologize.
that's okay.
So
It's
June-
Inspired out to us.
So this will be. Those two will be off. This one will not be off. I'll have to change the submittal deadlines too. Okay. And then June 30th would be the hold, and then go to July 14th, all the way to July 14th. Or to July. Were you considering, Commissioner Reese, were you hoping to continue on the 1st and 3rd?
No, go back. So because for July 14th and
Okay.
28th would be the normal ones.
Yep.
And so it'd be, if we skip from June 16th to July 14th, that would be 4. Oh, that'd be 4. Oops, I
Yeah.
can't count.
So then the commission maybe does just want to have June 30th.
Right.
Three,
Yeah.
In the
three
queue,
meetings
just
in
so
June.
we can
Yep.
make a decision on it.
Yeah.
1 meeting in May, 3 meetings in June.
Short meetings.
Like tonight.
Yeah. And then it returns to normal? No, September, excuse me. August 24, 11, 25. The 8th must be Labor Day.
No, Labor Day is the 1st this year.
Then why are we skipping the 8th of September?
Why are we skipping the 8th? Oh, because I know I won't be able to be here on the 22nd.
Okay.
And then the 13th of October is Indigenous Peoples' Day.
With that, and see what happens.
Yeah,
For me.
So which day in May?
May 12th, but I'll adjust the submittal deadlines and the legal ad and have a print copy for you all.
Yes.
Does the commission want to adopt this though, and then I can share it with the clerk? Okay.
I think, December 22nd is a bit of a tricky date, but it probably wouldn't have much on it anyways, I'm guessing. So I would
Ways
cancel
away.
that if- yeah. Okay. So do we have a motion to adopt the amended schedule on the screen?
I move that we adopt the 25 meeting schedule as amended, as discussed and amended.
Second.
Can I just ask a question? Could we have a meeting in September without Ava, or is that just crazy?
I think it would be significantly more challenging,
Yes,
not necessarily crazy.
Do you remember the chaos when I tried to fill in for Cassie?
Okay.
Are you concerned with changing the September schedule, Sarah?
It's just that the 29th is like my birthday weekend, so if I want to go away,
You're not required to come to every meeting, Sarah.
thank you. for that.
Okay, great. All right. So
And I
the,
accept it as proposed.
all right. So there is a motion on the table, roll call vote,
Second.
Ryan,
Aye.
August,
Aye.
Weeks,
Aye.
Carr,
Aye.
motion carries. So Eva, let us know if that is approved at the city level and we will put it in our calendars.
Excellent. That's all I have for you.
Nice.
Great.
Hey.
Could we potentially have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, Ryan,
Aye.
August,
Aye.
Weeks,
Aye.
Carr?
Aye.
It's 7:21. We are concluding the December 2nd meeting of the Easthampton Conservation Commission, and our next meeting will be December 16th at 6 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.